Hello book friends and welcome back. Today we are going to be diving into my very large stack of winter, thriller, and horror books. So if you haven't seen it yet, I did post a video of my cozy winter recs, both Christmas and just regular kind of like cozy winter setting book. But while I'm a cozy girl, I am also a spooky girl. This year I've really gotten into horror. I do read mild to medium horror. I do not go into extreme horror. I don't really like any type of body horror really, or anything too crazy, but I love a good spooky supernatural creature feature. Some of that has gore, but it's not too bad. And I've also gotten into kind of like adventure thrillers, so I will be reading a mix on this channel, but I am a seasonal reader and I've really been diving into winter reading recs lately, and a lot of them have been horror and thriller. For some reason I'm just in that mood. So I have a very large stack, and so I decided to make a separate video with it, so the first one wasn't too long. This one will be long enough. So the first book I have is The Haunting in the Arctic by C.J. Cook. I have been obsessed with reading books set in kind of isolated areas, Antarctica, Greenland, the Arctic Circle lately, and all of them scary. I loved the Thing, which is a little bit more body horror than I would read about now. But some of them have kind of elements like that into them and it's fine. But I heard a lot of great things. I'm in a Books of Horror Facebook group and someone posted about Arctic and Antarctic horror. So I have been getting all of the recommendations. This one people really enjoyed. And this has another trope that I'm absolutely obsessed with, which is ghost ships. So this has a ship that disappeared in the early 1900s called the Orman, and it just washed up on shore, and our main character is going to investigate what happened. So very interested to see. I love dual timelines as well, kind of finding out what happened in the past and what happened now. So I'm really hoping that I love this one. It's been talked up a lot. The next one is Snow Drowned by Jennifer D. Lyle. This one actually came out not too long ago. I believe it's YA. I don't typically read YA. I read middle grade or adult. I don't like the whole like romance in YA, but when I do read it, I tend to read thrillers or horror because there's less of that in there. And it's about our main character who lives in a town where every few years someone dies in a snowstorm, and this year she finds what happened, and it's kind of gruesome. And like, I think it takes place over one evening, so we will see. I'm trying not to spoil it by watching anybody else that's read it. I really have had some books spoiled for me during reviews, so I've avoided it. And the next one that I'm very excited about is An Unwanted Guest by Sherry LaPena. I've been looking for it for a while. I finally got it, and this one is about a couple that goes on a weekend getaway to the Catskills, and there's a snowstorm and some guests start turning up dead and everything, and there's a mystery. I love that they're like snowed in and they can't get out and they have to figure that out. I love those types of books. I read Dead of Winter by Darcy Coates, which was similar to this, so I'm hoping that I like this even more. I've heard great things about this author too, so it's one of those ones where I hope I like her writing style so I can kind of dive into more. And the same goes for the next one, Mary Kubica. She has a lot of books and I've heard most of them are absolutely wonderful. This one was a winter one, and I actually got it book ferried to me, which is very kind of people. It was A Local Woman Missing, and it's perfect for winter. I don't tend to do like kind of missing persons books, but this one definitely caught my attention when I read the description, and I've heard really wonderful things about her writing, so fingers crossed. And next we go into two by the same author, which is Thin Air by Michelle Paver and Dark Matter by Michelle Paver. And these also have two of my favorite kind of like storylines or tropes, mountaineering and like ghost ship almost, and being isolated. So it's funny because I get winded on like mild hikes, but I've always found mountaineering very interesting. In November I read Into Thin Air by Jon Krakauer and No Way Down, and it was amazing. I loved both of those books. I found them fascinating. One of them made me cry, which is not typical for me. It's hard to make me cry in a book. But this one is about 5 climbers that are going to the Himalayas. I know the mountain name and I've heard it said before, but it's very hard for me and I've messed it up like 5 times already. But it's in the 1930s, and as they go up higher, trying to climb this mountain and hit the summit, things start to happen. I've heard wonderful things about her writing. She also has written Wakenhurst, which is a great haunted house book. So I'm hoping I love these both so I can read that one as well. And the other one, Dark Matter, takes place in the Arctic. We follow our main character Jack, who joins an Arctic expedition. But as they're there, some people are forced to leave or they disappear. And he ends up pretty alone, I think. And so I've been told that that aspect of it makes it even more intense. And it's a really great ghost story, a lot of scary moments. So hopefully, I have yet to be like super scared from a horror book. I've had some moments in books, so I'm always looking for it. And the next book I have is Voices in the Snow by Darcy Coates. This is part of the Black Winter series. I really love Darcy Coates. I would say a lot of people characterize her as like cozy horror, but I think she's really atmospheric, and some of her books lately, like Dead of Winter, was actually a little bit more intense and gruesome than I thought it was going to be based on some of the other books that I've read. I love her Gravekeeper series right now, but this one is set in winter. Our main character wakes up and kind of remembers some things, like car crashes or things in the snow, and she's been taken in. And there's definitely something wrong with the world outside. I am very interested in seeing how this one goes. It's like, I think it's a 5-book series, so it definitely gives me more reading later on if I do enjoy this one. So one book that I absolutely will be reading this month is Krampus by Bram. This is because it's in Yule, which is around Christmas. Bram actually wrote Slewfoot as well, and I did not get to that in October and November. I've been told Slewfoot is his best book, so I really hope that I like this and I like his writing. If not, I'm definitely going to be reading Slewfoot maybe sometime next year, but it just feels like a fall book, so I want to read it around then. And the next book I am definitely going to be reading this month is Bishop by Candice Nola. It's short. If you watched my other video, you know I'm trying to read 100 books in 2024, but I stopped reading for about 3 months. I went into a really big book slump before I got into my groove, and I have been trying to catch up, but I still have like 22 books to read in December, the busiest month of the year for me. We will see. I'm a toddler mom, so it'll happen or it won't, but I'm trying to read some short books right now to kind of up that. But I love a creature feature, and this takes place in the Alaskan wilderness. A mom and her child go missing, and people are looking for them, but something is in the woods, and I love creature features. So I'm hoping that this one is very interesting. It kind of gives it away on the front of the book, but it's what kind of drew me to it in the first place. And a lot of people have liked this one, so diving into that soon. And so the next 2 books that I have are actually kind of like murder, mystery, thriller books. So these 2 are a little bit different for me to read. I usually read adventure thrillers, horror books. I tend not to read more like just murder mysteries, normal, nothing supernatural with them. But I've heard, one of them I just saw when I was at a thrift store and I thought it would be interesting. And the other one I have heard a lot about, and that is The Snowman by Jo Nesbø. I believe this was made into a movie with Michael Fassbender, but I have not watched it. I have wanted to, and I want to watch it this winter, but I always love to read the books first, see how well they did. It's Inspector Harry Hole novel. This one is about a young boy whose mother disappears one night, and a snowman appears in the yard wearing her scarf. And they discover 11 women have gone missing in similar circumstances, and they're investigating and trying to find the killer. I am cautiously optimistic this might be a new genre that I like, or maybe just a new author. We will see. And the same goes for this. I just found this reading. I was looking kind of for wintry books. This one is Deep Freeze by Lisa Jackson. I have seen other ones. This one's actually autographed, and I found it at a thrift store, which is always a fun little surprise. But it's about a mom who moves her children to the wilderness to get away from some crazy fans. And some people start, like some dead women start turning up every snowstorm and trying to figure out what's going on. I'm worried this one will raise my anxiety just a tad bit, but we'll see. we'll see. And the last book in this category is Boys in the Valley by Philip Fracassi. So he wrote another book called Sakulina, which is ocean horror. I absolutely love ocean horror. You will see a lot of that when I talk about book recs, like horror book recs, especially in the summer. But this is actually his most highly rated book. As far as I know, I've heard great things about this, but I've heard that it's extremely intense. And it's about this orphanage. There's about 32 boys there, along with some priests, because it's more of a religious orphanage. And some men show up in the middle of the night with strange symbols carved on. It's been described to me as a great winter read, but also possession, somewhat Lord of the Flies-ish. It's very intense. There's quite a bit of violence in it, so it's going to be outside of the norm of what I typically read. You can't really avoid that sort of thing in horror books, but there's like a level. So we will see. I'm a little bit intimidated by it because I am a mom too, and anything involving children tends to raise my anxiety. I will let you know. I'm definitely going to be reading it in the next few months, probably after Christmas, so get through the craziest time of the year. So those are my anticipated kind of winter thriller horror books this year. I will be reading them in between my kind of cozier books. Again, I have a video about that before if you're interested in those. Let me know if you've read any of them without spoilers, please, and if you liked them, what I should read first. And if you liked what you saw today, I would love to have you join me on my channel. Click the subscribe button, like, comment. I'm looking forward to posting a couple of times a week. I'm trying to stick to that. Definitely once a week, but probably twice. So I hope to see you soon.